What are those key pillars or the core areas of Next Health based on functional medicine that you're measuring and that you think we all need to be aware of when we're looking at that 360-degree look at our health?
Right. So, this is where I think, I have this conversation with all my patients. We sit down and we say, look, there's an overwhelming amount of health information out there, and a lot of it is not based in science. There's a lot of majoring in minor things, right? There's a lot of focus on what's the best superfood, or, what's how much caffeine should I have per day? But in reality, what I tell people is, let's break this down for you into the main components. And over time, let me educate you on the main components of health. But let's not major in the minor things. Let's focus on the 20% of the information that's going to give you the 80% of the result, right? What are the key 2 or 3 things you need to know on each aspect of your health to create a major difference? And that's the Pareto principle, which is where can you expend the least amount of energy to get the most amount of results? And once you get that right, you can absolutely go down the rabbit hole further if you want to. So we start off, I have this thing called the wellness wheel, I call it. There are 12 points in the wellness wheel. We start off with the basics, nutrition, sleep, and exercise. But then we move on to gut health, immune system health, hormone health, heart health, and brain health. And so then we spend a lot of time talking about each one of those individually. And in each one of these categories, what I do is I try to frame it as this. It's a 3-step process. And the first step is, number 1, how do we make sure you're not dying from this, right? How do we make sure your nutrition is not killing you, like you're becoming a metabolic disaster with diabetes? Or how do we make sure that your immune system is healthy enough to prevent cancer? How to not die, basically. The second part of it is, how do we improve your health span? How do we keep you as healthy as possible for as long as possible? And then the last part is, what's the advanced science out there in the longevity world that we can implement into your life? Once we make sure you're not in trouble and then you've mastered how to take care of your health span yourself, how do we then start applying these new techniques, this new science? So a lot of people come to us and they want to jump straight to how do I do NADIV? How do I do hyperbaric oxygen therapy? I'm like, no. Let's hold on a second. Let's make sure you're not eating ultra processed food first, because that's what's going to make the biggest difference, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we frame it. And it's we go down each one of these categories and talk about what's going to make the biggest difference for people.
Fantastic.